But we are going to move on to the natural hair community. So there is a lot that goes on, like the basically people alleging that it was hijacked, the natural hair police, the rules, the product overload, just so many things and conversations when it comes to the original natural hair community. So I want to know, do you think that the original natural hair community failed? And if you think that it failed, what do you think needs to take place to revive it? Or if you don't think that it failed, like what do you think needs to take place to improve it so that more people can once again embrace the natural hair community as a collective?
So when you say that it failed, like what are people saying the reason that it failed is? Like what is the
Uh,
underlying reason?
Primarily, they feel like type 4 curly hair was left out of a lot of the conversations. A lot of people, unfortunately, was the type 3s were pushed to the forefront. So type 4 curly hair was kind of left out, and a lot of products were not catering to our hair needs, our hair type, etc. So they feel like that was a big fallacy, as well as just people pushing so many products on us and trying to sell us stuff. Basically, when brands got involved, they feel like that also was a big reason that the natural hair community failed. The natural hair police just telling you you can't do this to with your hair, you can't do that. So people just got overwhelmed and got tired of it. Some people even went back to relaxers. And as you can see on YouTube, even natural hair is just not, put the community is not pushed like it was. It used to be videos that get 200,000, 300,000 views, but now you'll be lucky to hit 10K views on a natural
Mm,
hair video. Like the whole just collective community aspect and just really the eagerness to learn about our curly hair, it's just not there like it once was.
gotcha. Okay, thank you for that. Because sometimes with me being a professional, sometimes I like to consider myself to be in the space, but sometimes where I am prevents me from seeing it from a consumer's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think the natural hair movement failed. Um, I when it comes to the natural hair community in terms of like YouTube and social media and things, I think when it first started, um, I was there. Like I was there when it was kicking off. Like that's where I was growing my hair out, and that's what inspired me to want to grow my hair out as well. I remember in that time, and this was like the 2010s, maybe even like 2008. At that time, natural hairstyles was very rarely seen, few and far in between. Um, there were people that were rocking it. It just like people was giving them like the girl, you ain't out here killing it with the rest of us with your little twisties or whatever. So the attitudes around natural hair were definitely a lot more negative in those early years. So I think that the pioneers of the natural hair community definitely need to be given their flowers and their respect,
Mm-hmm.
because those women, and believe it or not, those were the women that they're saying weren't acknowledged and represented were the ones that really pushed the movement forward. Nap 85, there was a young woman by the name of Rustic Beauty. She would have what many people would consider 4A, 4B hair, and she had like the longest, thickest hair ever. And so a lot of people took inspiration from her, Kimmy Tube. So a lot of these women, they definitely did the work, and they definitely tried to educate women through their experiences, what they've learned, what they um, just, their struggles with natural hair. I think early on we were very much transparent, and it was a lot more authentic because people were just getting on and sharing their natural hair and trying to teach people just because there was no incentive to it. At the time, most of us was not getting like YouTube checks. There was like most of us weren't in a partnership program when it first kicked off. Um, but then as it started to gain popularity, then more and more people started to partake in it. And even at that point, I think it was still authentic. I think the issue that a lot of people really don't want to talk about when it comes to the natural hair movement and how it veered off track is people's personal biases when it comes to natural hair and specifically kinky coily hair. A lot of people, it's not that there was not representation or that people weren't out there promoting enough, because I've actually heard that too as a male vlogger. People have told me like, oh, well, men just weren't promoting enough. That's why nobody really knows about natural hair from the perspective of men. I'm like, no, that's definitely not true. I think people, and also product companies saw this too, that there was a bias towards smooth, shiny, bouncy curls. There was a bias towards thick, fuller hair. And so that's where the market went, and that's where the viewers went, and that's where the product companies went, and the opportunities and everything else. It is really a victimhood of capitalism. Once the money started to come into the picture, people started to do and say whatever they could in order to generate views, generate traffic, generate money. And the people that were left by the wayside were those who were advocating for kinkier, coily hair types. And you can't hijack a movement when you are the one upholding the movement. The only way you can give somebody control of a movement is if you give it to them. And that's exactly what Black women did. Is if you're going to say that biracials came and took over the movement, you can't say that. You gave it to them because you were the ones that sought after these loosey-goosey curls and trying to like shellac for bouncy curls with your wash and go and stuff. You gave it to them. Like, I think for me, I guess my perspective is a little different as a man, because I understood my place in the natural hair community. I knew that as a man, this was not something that was designed for me, but it was something for me to partake in and to appreciate. So I always gave my appreciation and my flowers to the women that upheld this movement and also pushed it forward. And I think it's just so, it's very upsetting that people could really, like, at this day and age, turn their nose up at the women who started this movement and be like, y'all failed the natural hair community. No, baby, you failed yourself. If you don't like your natural hair after this natural movement taking off over a whole decade, it's because of you. You can't look to somebody else to give you validation. You can't look to somebody else to tell you it's okay for you to walk around with your natural hair. That's all on you, baby. You can't look to someone else to tell you that, yeah, Black hair, kinky hair, biracial hair, all hair types is beautiful, but the most beautiful part of a Black woman is the real you and what that really looks like, and accepting your differences between yourself and other people. Like, I don't know. I guess for me, I think people were expecting too much out of women who really had nobody came before them. Nobody told them, hey, this is what you're going to have to think about later on if you don't say this, or if you don't do this, or if you just stick to doing twist outs. What about the girls that want to do the wash and goes? What about the girls that can't do the twist outs right? What about, nobody had a guide or a pamphlet to tell these women like, hey, this is how you got to do the movement. This is what you need to do. We all got together, we figured it out, and we were a community. Now everything is segmented. Now we're all just separate entities just trying to come up in this natural hair space. We're all trying to sell and do our own thing and generate income and business and everything. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think what I kind of miss about the community is the overall sense of community. So yeah, that's my response to that.
I love that response. And I actually see a commenter by the name of Michelle. She says, your self-love is not someone else's responsibility. And I think that sums up this topic perfectly. I say all the time, Black women, we are responsible for creating our own beauty standards, not paying attention to what everybody else is doing, just really focusing on you, yourself, your quality hair. This is in no way to say that type 3 hair is not beautiful, but that doesn't take away the beauty of quality hair either. But
Agree.
you summed it up perfectly. So we're just going to move right along to the next topic.